on Monday night at 10 o'clock. Name of this class, what really is Lag Baimer? Definitely not Shem Bayuchai. Okay, well, let's find out. Mekairis, Shara Kavodas, the Ari, Rabbeinu Yosef Chaim, and the Chida. Couldn't get worse. It's not some professor from who knows who. Yeah, good. Megillat. You're holding it. Okay, so this is the famous Mishnah of Al-Kol Tzafui. There's definitely, God knows everything that will happen, and yet you definitely have free will. We discussed this already at length, multitudes of times. We're not going to elaborate. I love using the lashon of the Rambam here, which is like frightening that he writes. He writes on this, that this is memory to Rabbi Akiva, and he says on this, he says that, where is this? Uses a lashon, the ein ra'ui kidvarim ha'ela ela l'Rabbi Akiva. That this is such a prominent statement that who could say a thing like this except for a person of the magnitude of Rabbi Akiva? That's a very, very strong statement. Obviously, you really have to understand in depth the musagim of Bchira and Yediyah, which I'm not going to teach today. I think I've taught already twice, I think, to your class, to you guys in the last 5 years, and that's more than enough. But whatever it is, yeah, the idea that there's free will, you have free will, yet God knows what you're going to do, that doesn't seem to be a problem in the eyes of Rabbi Akiva. Okay. Taiva Ilam Nidan means to say that what? That basically God is Matik Lapi Chesed. Now here he says something very important. The Rambam explains what does it mean if you Reiv HaMaaseh. It means to say that if you want to be kind of a midah, you have to do it a lot. It's not enough. The more you do it, the more you develop it. For example, if you have to give tzedakah, when you give a tzedakah and Ani put the whole thing into his hand at once. But if hypothetically you want to put tzedakah into a box, so he says get used to doing a lot, dividing the dollar into pennies and just putting 100 times into the box. This should get used to giving. You'll be kind of meat of Nedivus, he said. He has these spurts of inspiration that become like perfect and beautiful. Specifically around Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Yeah, that last be'erach from Tanis Esther and Tupur, Keheref Ayin. But Lamaisa, how do you kind of meet it? By Hasmada, by constantly doing and doing and doing until you develop into a persona. Rambam discusses this, quotes this in Perik, Seif Perik Aleph Hilchos Deos. You look at it over there and you'll see. It doesn't depend on what you do, on the big thing you do. The big one-time thing won't help you. It has to be Roiva Maaseh. It has to be according to the constant repetition of Maaseh. This is Pirush Rambam in this Mishnah. Weiter. Everything's in pawn. And the trap, the net is thrown out across the life. Yes. Store is open. And you know what? And he actually gives you credit equals you don't have to pay price. You don't have to justify what you can get immediately. But you know what I mean? He gives you loans. But at the end of the day, you have to pay. Pinkas Patuach, yeah, he writes down everything you're in debit to. Yeah, he extends credit very nicely. But his shluchim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gaboim, they go around every day, and they collect. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're paying. Believe me, they have good stories. It's a shtar mekuyim. It's not as if they're collecting in myself. That's a shtar mekuyim. Vadin emes, yeah, and there's no games here. It's emes. Vakoil mesukin lesudan. Everything's ready, ultimately to the great feast of Lasad Lava if we go well. So what are we saying here? There's a great world out there. You're getting a lot of credit. And if you pay well, you ultimately will get into the great Suuda. And if you don't pay well, you're going to be busy paying. And the Rambam writes on this is a mashal pashit, and we don't have to explain it. I think it's a davar pashit. One more, and this is the famous Rav Blachman ben Azariah. Im ein Torah ein derech eretz. Im ein derech eretz ein Torah. What does that mean? So the Rambam writes, "Shekol echad mehem ozer lemtziut hasheni umashlim lo." Does it mean, like many people think, that one has to precede the other, and then they ask questions, where do you start? And then the speeches from Heinz and Busy Bermorgen. No, the Rambam says, Posh, it means no, it's a symbiotic relationship. You need both. So the Rambam, you need both. One alone is nothing. So it's not Torah without Parnasa. You won't be able to learn, okay? And Parnasa without Torah is an empty life. It's very simple. You need both. Imein Chochma ein Yira. Without wisdom, hey, you won't be able to have your Shemai. Right? Vim ein Yira ein Chachma. But if there's no Yira Shemaim, that Chachma is also nothing. You need both. We're not talking about a sequential order here. It's a very important discussion. Let's finally redeem this Mishnah from the Darshan. Up here, Ramam at least. Im ein das ein bina. V'im ein bina ein das. If you're not capable of really internalizing something, so you don't really understand it. As Reb Chaim used to say, if you can't explain it, you don't know it. Okay? If you can't internalize into your own words, that means you don't really understand it. Unless you're a kvad perech, but if you don't have any speech impediment, the fact that you can't clearly define things and say things, it means you lack in comprehension. Just 1 minute. Don't know who this is, but just let me just 1 minute. What happened? Where you guys go? What happened? What happened? Hello?
Rabbi, we're still here.
Still here, Rabbi.
I'm not here. Where are you? I can't find you. Okay, I'm going to have what Makarapo. Ich verstehe nicht. Let me try to get into here again. 1 minute. Stay there. Let me see, get in. What happened? 1 minute. Technology is a great thing if it works. No, that's not happening. I don't understand where this is. Guys, I'm going to go out and come back again, okay? Hold. Oh, I have you. Thank God. Are we here?
Yeah.
There. Yeah. Oh. I tell you, technology is a great thing if it works. Okay. Weiter. So this is a big issue. If you can't really understand, then you can. If you're not capable of internalizing it to an extent that something that you can identify with, you don't really understand it. On the other hand, there's no way of internalizing anything if you don't understand. So one thing, it ain't bina, ain't das. It ain't das, ain't bina. Each one is mash from the other. A bina without us understanding, but not to the extent that you can internalize it and therefore ultimately use your own language for it. It's very easy to use to parrot someone else's language and formulas, but it's so you just kick them a little bit in the side and all of a sudden they don't know what you're talking about. So the cloud is that's the aside. It ain't bina, ain't das, and das ain't bina. It ain't kemach, ain't Torah. Ask Tzvi Zeltzer, he'll tell you all about it. Ain't kemach, ain't Torah. No money, no support. You won't be able to learn. On the other hand, it ain't Torah, ain't kemach. Once again, it doesn't mean you won't make money. It means it's meaningless. That's what it means. I mean, we're talking about two things which are needed, which each one helps the other become meaningful. If the kemach is the sorry for Torah, so it's unbelievable kemach. We discussed this one. That's the Dasar of that Rabbi Shmuel, that he says that when you Vasafta Gonechas Rosh Mitzarecha is a kiyum din in leitamush sefer teres mipicha. He holds how you make the pasuk leitamush sefer teres mipicha by hanik ben meaning b'derech eretz. Why Rashi says because kol Torah sheni mamulacha sefer b'teila. So the part of the kiyum of loy tamush sefer zayter repicha is to be vasaptat ganech zerosh chivitzarecha. Look up a Rashi and brachas. Forget, this is what it means here. En kemach ein Torah. You need vasaptat ganech in order to fulfill the ultimate goal of lo yamush sefer Torah repicha. Flip side, if you don't do that, you're just sticking your nose into the kemach. It's garnished. Stop garnished. You're an idiot. What can I tell you? You're living in Olam Oiver. You don't think in 2 minutes about an Olam Oiver. So this is this Mishnah. It's a very chashuv Mishnah, very important Mishnah. Good. That should be enough for today. Lag Ba'omer. We have to find out if the barber shop works. Right. Okay. So, Mayor, I sent you answers to your questions about the exercise. Did you see it?
I did not yet,
Okay.
no.
Well, no, either you didn't understand me or you didn't understand him. One of the two. Okay, here I'll just repeat this to make it clear. The question on the table is, as brought on the Taisus, I understand the Taisus takes for granted in Taisus of Masla Ein B'chor Netel Pi Shnayim B'Milva. He takes for granted that this brisa is not reflecting the machlaikis of Rebbe and Rabbanah, as opposed to the brisa and Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph. It seems to be seen as reflecting the machlaikis of Rebbe and Rabbanah. That's what Rashbam says. Yet when it comes here, somehow the Taisus took for granted it's not reflecting the machlaikis of Rebbe and Rabbanah. And the Emes says, I don't know why he thinks so. That's the honest truth. Is there anything in this Bryce in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph which says it's going specifically according to Rebbe or Rabbanah? It's isolated. Yosher Tarchai B'chor Netel Pi Shnayim. It's the Rashbam which tells us not Kuf Daled Amud Aleph that goes a little bit to Rebbe. Kida Sikna Lekamon, as we see right in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis. What's the Sikna Kamon Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis? The Bryce which says that they don't take Pi Shnayim B'Milva. So the Rashbam definitely thinks that the brisa in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis is the flip side of the brisa. The memory in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis is the flip side of the brisa in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph. Let's be honest. If we understand that memory is said in that context of the brisa in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph, and that is a memory, whatever it is over here, which says that they don't have Ein B'chor Netel Pi Shnayim B'Milva. So to speak of Yehuda Shmuel is extending on that brisa. Where else is the Sikna on Milva in Amud Beis, which Rashbam writes in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph, is showing that this brisa in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph is going only on Yehuda Rebbe. Meifat Yehuda Lo Ma'utza. The teretz is pashi because he understands that Yehuda Shmuel is not isolated. He's talking about Rebbe. He's talking about Rabbanah in context of the machlekes of Rebbe Rabbanah. Otherwise, where did the Rashbam know to say this? No, and since the Rashbam taught us in Kuf Chav Vav that the whole machlekes of Rebbe Rabbanah is only kodim machor, Levi boy kodim chaluka, afilu kodim machor, as the Rashbam says, even if it even teveh chaluka. So if that's the case, the brisa in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis is not talking post chaluka. We're talking chatchila of kodim machor, where there wasn't a chaluka yet. B'kahai gavna, what would the din be? If that's the case, if we understand the Rashbam in Kuf Chav Daled that he's learning Yehuda Shmuel as reacting to the memory of Kuf Chav Daled, so the chatchila we're only talking in the case of kodim machor, not just kodim chaluka, kodim machor, because micha, and after machor, even Rabbanan agreed that it's a roy ashbach, it's his, and therefore even shvachei de yitzia belongs to the bchor. At the kulam, that's the Rashbam Kuf Chav Vav Amud Aleph. So the chatchila, this whole this question, like it doesn't. To me, it's a modnazach. I don't know what he had and what he saw in Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph. But our Rashbam writes explicitly, I read the Mastikta the Milsa de Rebbe, who's the Maskana the Milsa de Rebbe. Where's the Maskana the Milsa? In Amud Beis. That this Bryce is going a little bit to Rebbe. Where's there anywhere in the Lusher of Yehuda Shmuel that says that this Bryce is going a little bit to Rebbe? Teretz is because that's what he's talking about. He understands that Yehuda Shmuel is talking about this Bryce. That's the Chayr, the Pashtus. According to that, the whole question of Taisha doesn't begin, end, doesn't have a beginning, end in the middle. Maybe you can do Chalukah. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Machlekes, Rabbi and Rabban. Rabbi and Rabban, same thing. Taisha didn't learn that way. Taisha understood specifically that somehow he believed that the Bryce and Kuf Chav Daled is reflecting Rabbi. This she agrees to. Why? That's a chayis, maybe because of the continuance of the sugya, which is talking about Rabbi. There's something there also there. Rabbi Omer, and he thinks Yosher Shtachayv B'chor Pishtaim is also going a little bit to Rabbi. It's very muddy to say that because even Hama Any Noisim Any Noitel, everybody agrees to. You understand? Because I know the Bryces, the Bryces in Tosefta don't mention Yosher Shtachayv. It's a separate entity. So therefore, whatever is, but Taisha somehow understood that this Brisa, yes, this we agree, this is a member of the Rabbi. His question is, and therefore, that's Taka talking before Chalukah and before Machah. If you want to talk Rabbi, you're talking Rabbi's Chidushim are before Machah. After Machah, there's no Rabbi versus Rabbana. But his kasha is that the Lashon of the memory of Yudah Meshvu is Mashma Shtama. In all instances, in L'chaira, there's definitely an instance of Chalukah. So how can you tell me, Stama, that there's no Pishnaim B'mil, but there are definitely cases where there is. Okay, let's understand the cases. I'll give you a case. A, Machor. There's no question that if they were Meicha, okay, so then L'chaira, even if it would be Shvach, it would work even according to Rabbana. Very simple question. Machor. A. B, if they chose between themselves to be chaylik. And let me explain myself. Hypothetically, you can understand, according to the Rashba, I want you all to listen, that Bezdin cannot make an assessment if we have to have monetary assessment of star versus star. But what happens if you only have one star? Are you making a chaluk according to monetary value or according to percentages? You couldn't care less about the value. You don't need a shuma of the value. All you need is to say, well, there's two brothers here, one get 2/3 and I get the third. Whatever it is. We don't even have to ask how much it's worth. Because you don't need a shumas bezdin. There's no suffix about this. I hate to say it, read the tzais again, it's all like weird. Okay? So first of all, machor is definitely there. Even without kfir, the din of machor, don't need chalukah. Even as soon as the b'chor shemicha, the din is, everyone agrees he's the Bible on his chelik. How much is his chelik? I couldn't care less. That's number one. Number two, in a case where there's only, that's case number one. This even if there's 100 stars. In a case where there's one star, definitely you can do chalukah l'kula alma. You can be kaif on the chalukah because the shuma is, you don't need a shuma. If we're based on that Rashba, the only problem with the Rashba is because there's no shuma. There is no, you don't need a shuma. Shuma means assessing monetary value. When one star, you don't need assessment of monetary value. You need to know percentages. And percentages, we know, two brothers equals 66.6 versus 33.3. Very simple. Who cares how much it is? We'll find out B'shas Gviyah. Totally irrelevant to us.
How do you do that? How do you
care how much? What? How do you do it? What's the problem?
How do you
say it? Two brothers equal, you own 2/3 of the 2/3 of the ownership and the other's a third. What's the problem?
You just say
What's the problem?
What's the
what?
You just say it? It's like
what are you saying? Again, you make a chalukah of chalakim. You know what that means? Chalakim? When you make a chalukah in karka, you have to make it. What's the problem?
You don't have to make. They have to make a chazaka. Then,
what's the problem? You designate. You own 2/3. I own the third. Before ain't the b'chor koydem chalukah. According to Rashbam, ain't the pashut koydem chalukah. After they decide they're making a chalukah, so now that we know that I own 2/3 of this and you own a third. What's the problem? And what happens if there's one karka? You know, by karka it's a davar misuyim, so you have to know which chelik, nicha. But here there's no which in this. Kitsa, this Tais is a Medrash Pliya, which I know I told you he's not my uncle. I'm not going to try to understand him. I know he doesn't make sense. Mayor, I've just answered your questions, by the way. I hope you heard me well. Okay? So, L'chayre is the Pella. First of all, there's Machot, a possibility. Second of all, is even a possibility of Chalukah. So, yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm not, no, if someone wants to spend time to Miyash Divrei Aktzos, Ruchim Tiyu, I'm sure that he will pay you back in Olam Haba. Do it. Right. I prefer that the Rashbam should help me in Olam Haba, or the Rashba. I think I need them more than I don't mind having the choice, but I think they're like probably have more stature there, and, you know, get more protection. So I suggest investing in the medievals. Right. Okay, so that's a double passion. I told David the first day I came into Keren B'Yavne, and they were learning Yevamos there, and two guys came to ask me a question out of the blue. You know, they figure, hey, this new guy, let's see what we can get from him. You know what I mean? One was Shlomo Gemara. He was the Rosh Yeshiva in Toronto, and the other was Aryeh Stern. You know him? He's the Rami of the Yeshiva. These two little boys, they were like fifth year, yeah, kinderlach, and they came over and they gave me, what the shot in this Taisvis? And he says, listen, shot in Taisvis is this. That's all. So I told him, well, I'll light the candle in his memory, but he's not my uncle. You know, I don't care. What's the emes? The emes has to be the emes. What can you do? What can I do? I can't be the lawyer of every author in history. Then when will I learn? Okay, maybe those people who finished very called Bavli Risham Sifras Mechilta with all the Rishonim, etc., and Kabbalah and Chassidus and I don't know what, and then there's nothing else to do. Well, we might as well lay down on the beach and read a Kovetz Shurim. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a tremendous book, but I can't spend time on it. Okay, do me a favor. Okay, is that clear, young people? That was your musha for the day. Okay, weiter. That's the real musha. Weiter. It does not ever push it. So what the Shaila Taisus understand that the Yehuda Mishmuz is separate than the Bryce of Kuf Chav Dalet. He's asking a question. There's Hechetimtzis. I just gave you the Hechetimtzis. And by giving you the Hechetimtzis that way, we've just undone the teretz on that Rashba. Okay, that's what we've done. So what the Shaila Taisus somehow thinks that you should be able to do if the star is a goof, which is mishtabech. It's interesting. He clearly understands the Rashbam that the star etzem is a goof, which is mishtabech, and we have to understand how that works. How does he understand? He understands. No, if that would be the truth, if that's the case, it's the problem is so to speak. So do a chalukah there. What does he answer? No, the star is not a goof, which is mishtabech. What is it rather? It's nothing, the mishtar is nothing more than misal the Tainus Parati from the Chayv. And the Chayv is obviously something which is not in the Chalukah. This is, let's understand, this is the Chayv what Taisus is saying. As the Maram says, the star is Niar Ba'almo. It's not Mishtabech. So common the Kudus you see in this Taisus. First is you see that Hitaka understands in Dasa Rashbam, the star itself is Mishtabech. Most of you learned the Rashbam that way anyway in Kuf Chav Dal Dam and Aleph. I'm the one that said no, that's nothing more than after the choiv. Okay, why? Because of the end of the Rashbam. And what does the Tzais do as usual? Yeah, that's lav davke. You know what I mean? Pshat is what I said. That's a double push. So, but where is the Rashbam? The question is, what is the Tzais' understanding in the Rashbam that the star is mishtabech? This is now the question on the table. Plus, make that the star is mishtabech, and he disagrees on this nakuda. This is the question you have to ask. Okay, he talking and said the star group is mishtabech. The Tzais also seems to be learning that way. That this is the chayfetz, and the chayfetz is the mishtabech, and you ask, what is a mishtabech? It's a fish hook. To be able to, it's a fish net. It's a gun. One would say that, so to speak, the robber's gun is mishtabech with a robbery. I mean, that's number one. The second thing is we're entices that on the chayv, and that's the shaila in front of us here, on the chayv, so to speak, there's no chalukah. What the chalukah on? Only on the mos and not on the chayv. So these two nekudas I want to explain. So first of all, when it comes to the shtar shvach mishtabeach, Phew. Well, first of all, as I pointed out, Ein Hanami, the Rashbam doesn't say the Shvach in Keilu Ashtar Mishtabech. We pointed that out, and Keilu by Rishonim doesn't mean, it's like my women talk. It's like, no. It's only like. It isn't. It's al derech. It's commercial. It's calling metaphor. And that's what it's saying. That's why I had no problem with it to begin with, because the beautiful word ki'ilu sticks into your nose. What does it mean? But the Rash, obviously, if you look at the Lashon of the Taishas, he doesn't bring it as a ki'ilu. He writes mefush, ashtar evi aguf, milva eva shvach. He doesn't say have a ashtar ki'ilu haguf. Okay, he deletes the ki'ilu. I don't know what he had. Mustami had without the ki'ilu. Rashbam lefanai, I have a ki'ilu there. Now, once again, if you're used to talking and writing and reading a meduyok, that every word has to be accounted for, does the ki'ilu. If you're not used to thinking, writing, reading, talking, meduyok, then you have a ki'ilu. Then you move your hand this way, and it's okay, you know what I mean? But that's not here. At least I don't know about here, there. It's not in this room. Okay, so that's a davar pasha. But what's the pshat and taisus? So pshat and taisus l'chayra is, and that's what we pointed out yesterday with the Tshuvas HaRashba. What did we see in the Tshuvas HaRashba? In the Tshuvas HaRashba, we saw that there's two approaches to the relationship between the gviya and the shtar. The first approach was that the shtar is not mila ba'alma. The shtar taka, the dmei hashtar is the gviya. It's taka, the shvacha of the shtar. It's taka, the payrus of the shtar. That's the first thing. He says, I don't know how much it is. But that is the erech of the shtar. If I would know exactly how much money I would get for this would be the erech of the shtar. The problem is I don't know. That's what he says. Then he says, no, I couldn't care less if you knew. It's mili. And mili is not nechlak. It's only a fishhook. It's a way of getting the money. It's not the erech of the money. And therefore, obviously, there's no chalukah of the money on this. And the money will come later, not called the shvach of this. It's an emtsoy to get. It doesn't mean to say that the shabbos of it. This is the chayr, the two tzadim found in the Rashba himself, if you read it carefully, hopefully after I read it. Now, what does it mean that the pshat is that the chayv is the shvach of this? So let's look at something interesting. We have a Maisa, a Rashbam like
Rabbi?
that. Yes.
But why does Rabbi think that the Rashba's two answers are conflicting with each other? Doesn't it sound like he's giving another reason to the same point?
Another reasons means to say that, well, think of it carefully. If first you say something has an erech, and that's what you're talking about, and then you say it's a mili, those are two conflicting realities. Maybe you have to think about what those terms mean before you ask me that question.
He never said that there's an erech.
Okay? This is like beyond contempt. What was the question? What's the concept of the question? And what was the answer? And there, if you understood what the question was and the answer was, you would understand we're looking for value. And the answer is it cannot be assessed. Shuma means assessment of value, right? That's what the word shuma means. Shuma means assessment of value. Is that yes or no?
Yes.
That means, say, in the first tense, you take for granted there's a value. The only cannot be assessed. Is that correct? It's correct. Once again, just read the words. They don't need me. Maybe you do need me for this. I don't know. This is garnished.
He never said
the first thing
says
it
the
has
value
a
of the
value,
shtar.
has a shul. The second thing it says it's mili. What's wrong with mili? What's the word mili? Mili means what? And therefore what? As I understand, words definitely are valueless. Is that what it means? It means it's only a way of getting things. It has no value. It's like something which doesn't have a din of its own. It's just words which will get something. There's no shlichus for that. Words which create a chalais, there is shlichus, right? Words which will create a situation don't have shlichus. One day you'll learn kedushin or gittin. I don't know what you'll learn. You'll learn mil lemimser l'shliach. That's the same idea of mili over here. Mili means it's only words. It's not the money. It's not the erech of the contract. It's words. It's ways of getting things. Okay, this is the Chaim. It's there in Pashut that the shayil of the shayil of the Rajma and the first test of the Rajma is taken for granted. There is an erech, but we can't be sham. The Bezdin can't be sham the erech. The second test is no, it's not an erech. It's mili. Well, if you juxtapose them, you see two opposing ideas. I'm going back to here. So yes, I do see two opposing ideas. Now, what's the idea of the first idea? What does it mean that the shtar is the value, its value? So al-kochich, it means like this. He says, well, let's look at the Rashbam, and we'll take the Rashbam, and from there we can go there carefully. We look at the Rashbam. What is exactly a shtar? So on one hand, there's a very famous Rashbam. When in the beginning, when the Gemara says that Aliba de Rabbanan milva does not have Pishnaim, so there's a Rashbam de Ramaschel milva. That's in the middle of your Likutei Rashi on the left column, left side. You have the Divra Maschel milva in bold letters. The Eine Mugza Klal Ba'Maos, Ela B'Shtar, to have a Niyara Ba'alma. Equal to just a piece of paper. That's what we call millet. There's no mugzik in the Maos. In a milva, you don't really have the most. We're not looking for anything else but either money, and the shtar is nothing more than a piece of paper. Okay. Now, what's the change? And when the Gemara goes further and wants to say, Dasnar Dor, that Aliba de Rabbana, I'm hoping you guys finish the Amid. Aliba de Rabbana, yes, you are taking Pishnayim b'milva, but not b'ribis. That's what the Gemara said. So let's look at the Rashbam, de Ramaschel, avoloi b'ribis. Afal pisha kosav bashtar umilva keman de gav yadami. Since it's a milva bashtar, we say it's keman de gav yadami. Well, immediate question: what does that mean? Well, what it means is, so where's this found? And then we'll see what it means. Well, it's found in a few places. One place is in Gittin Damed Vav, as far as milva bashtar, as far as ribis is, as far as shvius is concerned. It's a machlekes or Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, whether we say milva keman de gav yadami, it's already, so to speak, collected. You just have to realize the collection, and therefore, but you really have it in your hands, but you know you have to go. It's like shaloi ve'en b'shusay type of a thing. Okay, therefore shvius is not mishamit. That's what Beis Shammai holds. Beis Hillel holds love keman de gav yadami. It's not keman de gav yadami. No, and shvius is mishamit. The milva. By mashkoin, it's not that way. But the Gemara said by milva la mashkoin the kula alma, we say keman de gav yadam. So now what's the shaila? Let's understand. But he's using a language here of keman de gav yadam. So obviously, in relative terms, it means keman de gav yadami as far as muchzik and roy are concerned. Doesn't mean the halacha b'chlal keman de gav yadam as if it's collected. Open up the Gemara and Gittin, the Shemitah's Ksafin, Lamed Vav Dot, and Lamed Zayin. You'll see it. Don't need me for that. Once again, you see a term, find out what it means and see if there's parallels and realize that he's talking a relative statement. It's a very important thing to see when you see a piece of Gemara or a Risha. Okay, that's why the more you'll learn, the more you'll have references. You'll be able to use the language, what they mean with their words. It's like I taught you before yesterday in Tyson, Lashon Milva. What does it mean? Okay, so here the same thing. Keman de gav yadami. Let's see what that means. He goes, Hayu v'nokit shtar. Ava ribis, ava gav the nokit shtar. For over azman mishameis aviv, therefore the chizman piroin of the ribis has arrived. Loi, the ein lecharoi kazeh. Davar shelo haya shelo ma'aylo. Interesting. He says, ribis, you never had the money, and therefore naturally this is called the super roi. It's not kilo shaloi ve'ena b'shusai. It's not even shaloi. There's nothing there. Avo mois milva, but the mois of a milva, the kashakal mois shehel vayu. You are taking the money that you lent him. But you look, what did he just say? Am I taking money that I lent him? I'm taking money that I never had. It's mivaleit nitna, which he owes me because I lent him. Well, hey, I can tell you. What do you think the chiv of ribis is? I take money from you because I gave you my money. What's ribis? Ager netter. It's basically you're paying schiris for the usage of the money. That's what it is. So what exactly is the difference between ribis and halva? I need you guys to think. Hey, milva leitzarnitna. Well, go back to Kedushin Mem Zayin, figure out what milva leitzarnitna means and what it doesn't mean, and tell me pshat in this Rashba. Okay? And he said there's a difference between ribis and by milva, you are taking the money that you gave him. He doesn't say the money due to you because you gave them, because that's the case, that would be included also in ribis. Dr. the Kishaka Mois Shelva, what's this before let's see what this Gimel writes. Shelva, thank you very much. Bach, yeah, correct. V'nimtza ashtar muzik biyadai b'makam oisav. V'arehu k'may mashkoin. Oh, that's very nice. It's like a collateral. I like these words. The nimtza, the shtar is muzik b'makam oisav. That's a clear word. V'arehu k'may mashkoin. Ubazeh hakol moedim de melva sheniach mashkin alea shakol pil shnayim. The balchayv kaine mashkin. So here when he said it's like a mashkin, that although you didn't offer it as a mashkin, one would not have thought that the idea of a star has anything to do with mashkin. So it is exactly like a mashkin. I'm going to add the word exactly because he actually not at this point in time he says, and therefore they have the same halacha. So in context, this is what it means. It's not a class for mashkin, and mashkin means collateral. And which mashkin is the mashkin b'shas halvor? Now you have to go back and learn that's what you get mashkin. This is like mashkin b'shas halvor. What is the getter of mashkin b'shas halvor? Okay, and this is like the ishtar is called a mashkin b'shas halvor. Okay, this is very far from something which has no value. It's a mashkin b'shas halvor, and since it's a mashkin b'shas halvor, basically you're musiking the money. You actually have the collection in your hand. And this is something which is mamish kegavoy dummy. Because it didn't take 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Hello? This is taki kegavoy dummy. Open up the Gemara and Gittin Lamed Vav Lamed Zayin over there. That a milva v'mashkin and a chanami. Shvius is not mishamit. And here he said that a milva with a mashkin, you need balchayv bishnayim. That's a davar pashu. Why? Because balchayv kain and mashkin. I need you to read what that means. To two Taishvus Chesam and Bezin Kiddushin, Divra Masel Domer Rabbi Yitzchak. What does it mean by Chayv Kain Nemashkin? You have to know what it means, okay? But this is what the Rashbam writes. This is what place number 1. And there's a lot of things to understand, but we have here, it's a concept of mashkin. Now, a mashkin means to say you have already the payment in your hand. Now, if hypothetically this had no value of its own, it's only a fish hook to get money, there's no way this is a mashkin. There's no way this is kigavri dummy. Okay, that's a bias bekotcha. You have the same language also. Go to the bottom. Now, this is really something interesting to see how he says this weiter. For example, in the last 2 lines of the Rashi, the line before the last of Rashi on the page, Gavul Karkam of Balchoiv Yeshlu Lebchor Pishnayim, Zotu Dehar Karka Yishtabed Levuan B'Chayov Ukemo Shahoyolei B'Mashkein Dami B'Chashvin like Milzok Litla Abchor Pishnayim. Every shibud karkos shibud nechasim, that's like mashkein. Now, what's the source of that? That's the Rashbam Kuf Ayin Amid Base, which writes explicitly that the makar of shibud nechasim deraisa is learned from the pasuk of mashkein. And that's the pasuk of Yotzi Alecha A'avoy Tachutza. Read, I mentioned when we read that Gemara there, Kuf Ayin Hamid Base. There's a lot of work here, you realize. We have to understand each term, what it means. But what I can come out with is one thing. Before I go and delve into this person in full depth, what I see here is there's an approach of understanding that a shtar is not just a way of getting money. It is actually collateral. This is the money itself. Now, how do we understand that? Normally, value is assessed by a market, and it's not true. The market value of this is only 70% of what you will collect. So how can you tell me that the mashkin is basically, this is a mashkin for the chayv? Tell me it's a mashkin for 70% of the chayv. Let that be kikigavri dami. What about the other 30%? So tikka doesn't mean that. What does this mean? This goes back towards what we learned in the Rashba and L'chera Dasa Taisus in Rashba. That Eino Chanami, the getter of a star is one purpose. The star is one purpose. Ultimately, to give the star back to the star is now in the hands of the Malva. He must give it back to the Loiva, and he will collect money for it. They understand when we say collect money for it, means to say that's the value of it. Since it's not oimid, a star is not oimid to sell in the market of bonds. There's a market of bonds for people that want to make money, as we discussed before by Chavitza the Tamra. It's not the value of the star. A star is leman gvia. And when does it reach its peak of value, what you call appreciation, a bond? When is it its real appreciation? At the time of collection. A market of bonds is because people know that until who knows where the company will exist by the time you collect. So you run into risk, etc. Therefore, people are willing to take risks and invest. That doesn't tell me the value. The value is the ultimate goal that will be, but people will pay less because of the risk factor, which is in any stock market reality. Any investment, you buy cheap when there's risk. Now, at this point in time when people were dumping, you would be pretty stupid if you didn't invest, because let me tell you, it's going up. Okay, Ian Warren Buffett for Tinsanachas. Okay, this was the time of, for example, real estate. Wow, this was the time to buy. Okay, specifically in New York, if you want to know. Okay, anyway, but this is you're not in my economy class. Okay, but at the rather business class. But at the end of the day, was meint das? This is what we're saying. The Shabbos is the Gvia. The Gvia is an act of, I have the basic object, I gave you it's called a mashka. Equals, it means say this is the act of payment. And Lamar, you get the value of when does it reach its peak at the time of Gvia. Just as you have different things which come to fruition at a certain point of time, like a bond. So this basically is the value of it. So it's a very closed market. There's only two clients, a Malva and a Loiva. As far as Shas Gvia is concerned, that's what it is. Believe me, buying a star at the day of Gvia from a person which is easily collectible, you won't get less or more than what you can get from the Chayv anyway. No one's going to buy it then. The market is when you have the risk factor because they want to get paid less. At the day of when it's with a payment per se, once again, taking for granted that it's oimid lepirot, etc. This is called the value of the thing. So there's two things. A star in the beginning, as far as the market is concerned, has no value. It's a risk factor. At the best, it's a way of getting money. That's for the world. For you that hold the star, and you're the only player in the market of collecting its real value, when it comes to Zman Gvia, then it becomes market money itself. This is the shlupfa v'nasa tamri. That's what a star is. A star starts basically in the broad world as being nothing more than a way of getting money, but inherently has within it also, it's also a shvach of the star. The star develops into a mashkin gomer. And that's what it is. It hit into its value. Now, Rabban, the Chiddush Rabban, afterwards in the Sugya, it's called a mashkin already, mishas halvot. But lav kulam lo pligi is like gore than a mashkin b'shas gvia. I'm not saying that this Rashbam and this Tais is based according to Nardoa's understanding of Rabbanon in the memory of Yudah Mishmuel. No, that's what I'm not saying. I'm saying just as once we understand that star is a mashkin, now the question is it a mashkin b'shas halva or is it a mashkin b'shas gvia? If you say it has a value b'shas gvia, so it's al derech like a mashkin b'shas gvia. I have a star which now is something I can collect from. I have the star, brother dear. This is a chayfis gufay mami, and the Shabbos, I'm realizing the real value of it when I collect it. That's called vasa de shvach. So the shvach is very nice. You're taking the shvach and it's mashbiach. It was the chatchilin that beforehand, the market isn't open. It's kaidim shiyotza shai. Everyone is a neshek, probably not. The klala's value is found. We define value when the market is open. The nafkamina is by ribbis. If you take a loan, bushel for bushel or pound for pound. So the din is if there's an assessed value, by how do we know that? Im yotza shar, if the price has been put on the board, right? Then if yeshli, you have that sum, so then you can take alva, saw, even if afterwards it appreciates and you can end up paying something which is worth more. That's a klal. So alva so b'yotza hashar im yesh loy is mutter. Im ein loy is usher because you can't. You took a bushel which is worth X, you're going to end up paying a bushel which is worth double. That's ribbis. Okay. Therefore, the klal. So the klal is that Shabbos is defined by yotza hashar. No, when's the shar for this ribbis for this star? When's the market open? When's the bell cling, on the floor? You ever go to Wall Street? Okay. When does the bell ring in Wall Street? That when? By star b'shas gvia. So beforehand, it's potential. That's called the shvacha, the star. That's what Taisvis understands. I'm trying to understand the Taisvis, not what I understand what the Pshat and Rashbam is, I know already. Was a Taisvis gemeint that it's a goof, which basically it's a mamish shvach. It is mamish the shvach. It started with a piece of paper which would get me the money, and with b'shas gvia it becomes a piece of paper which embodies the money. It's like a mashkin, just not like a abundance say mashkin b'shas halva. It's like mashkin b'shas gvia. That's how we understood lechatchila. The Maisha, the Rishonim say, as far as the pasuk Yotzei Lecha Avet Achuta, that is good for the machlekes of Ula and Rabbah. Ula learns that Yotzei Lecha Avet Achuta is talking by mashkin b'shas halva, so he says that's a source for every shibudim. Rabbah says no, it's talking by mashkin b'shas gvia, so it's not a right with shibudim. Mashkin b'shas gvia is when we don't see him paying the money. A shliach bezin goes and grabs something from you as collateral, as so to speak payment until you can redeem it by buying it back. We'll see the Rishonim. We have to see, but for that you first have to know the Gemara, the Taisvis and the Rishonim in Kufay and Hey Amid Beis. But this is what's happening here. So that's the Pshat and Taisvis. Taisvis Taka understood, just like the Rashbam writes, the Vais Liebe Das Rabbana, that it is a mashkin. You know what? It's a mashkin b'shas halva. Obviously, Taisvis understood in the Rashbam when not talking about Rabbanan and understanding that there is a machlokes of Rabbanan and Rebbe. He understands they are fine. It's a mashkin b'shas gvia. Pshat is, what does that mean? That the shvacha, the gufa star. That's his question. Well, if you understand that, it's not a big question. There's no way you can tell me. So if that's the case, it's a goof. This is gufa moment. This is goof. This is a chayfetz, which is moment. When you're being mechalik, what do you mean mechalik? So let's understand. What is the kasha? Be mechalik the shtaros, and you'll own a half of the shtar. You own the other half of the shtar, and both of them will develop. Now it's yours. That thing now will develop into. This is the kasha of Taisha. So now at least I understand where they're coming from. This is the pshat. That's the pshat that this is very negay. You need this Rashba, you need this Taisvis to understand the word mashkin here in the bottom of the page. But you have to understand that Rashbam is not holding that way in the beginning. It's only in Nardo, which explained Rabbanan. The Sugya doesn't hold that way yet. The Sugya here still holds it's Niyar Ba'alma, as the Rashbam said. What does Niyar Ba'alma mean? Like Millet. It's something which will get me money. Okay? Taisus understood, he doesn't mean that. Taisus understood that it means, no, it's like a mashkin b'shas gvia. It's value, something which will be mechalik. That same svar of the Rashba Milaninu is basically what the Rashbam understood. That's the Chayra Das Rabbana. So what's talking the Pshat and Rashbam? That's just we understand. This is the Shaila. Are you mukzik because the Chayv itself is the way I learned? Tais understand you're mukzik because you understand it's not Mila Ba'alma. It's like a mashkin b'shas gvia. I'm giving these as examples. For this, you really have to go back and try to understand the terms in their mother studios to be able to use it. But this is really what's happening here.
If it's only a mashkin b'shas gvia, so then how could they be cholik beforehand?
That's an example. What do I mean to say? I mean, it is something which develops, it has a monetary reality, which the value only comes in b'shas gvia. The market is closed, and then the market will open. You have a stock, and you can, at night after the market is closed, if you're in America, okay, you have an American stock, okay, and taking for granted, oh, it's Christmas where all the markets are closed. And otherwise, you always tell me there's a market in Indonesia, okay? It's Xmas. I think they're Xmas, everyone's closed, right? Okay, no, they get drunk when they think the guy was born. Okay, I would too. Okay, depressing. Anyway, so is it valuable? Is it nothing, or is it you don't, or you at the moment can't sell it, but there's a sale tomorrow? So it's gufay mammon, which doesn't have a shar. You mean like that? It's gufay mammon without a shar. When I meant a mushal of mashkim b'shas gviyah, I meant it's a gufay mammon, but the shar is b'shas gviyah.
Rabbi.
Hello? Yes.
Then how is Rabbi defining when the Rashba says ein gufo and mammon in that exact answer of that the shtar has worth?
I'm not using that. That he's using, say it doesn't have an, well, let's I don't have the Rashba in front of me at the moment. At first he says it doesn't have inherent value of its own because the value depends it's a something which it's not a stable value of its own. It depends on value depends on what you can get with it, and therefore, since it depends what you can get with it, that's very relative. And gufa moment does not mean miller. You can't say what you're dreaming of saying in your question, because that's a va'oid. You know, I told you I have a good ear for questions. Okay, did I hear you well?
I'm just trying to understand because is Rabbi using gufa?
Formulating carefully. I think you should be able to do it on your own. Whatever you know what it isn't. Now force whatever it should be. You have a problem? Very good. You serve a market. You should have a problem, but know what it isn't, and then you take further. Okay. I'm not coming out with boichs for us. I'm just reading what it says, and now you're figure it out. The problem is that I need people which know so much more to be able to understand what I'm doing here. That's my shtickle problem. You really have to know a lot of Yisaidis in Mashkainis and in Shibudim. Well, let's start doing something. I don't know. That's why he sent that page with all those marmakaimis. You understand? I need you to know Kufay and Hey. I need you to know X and Y. I need you to know a lot of things there. Or you can just believe me. Okay, pretend that I'm dead and this is a printed book. It's called Chedushay Rav Blachman, and now you're reading a Nachrin. Okay, you trust them blindly. So why do you care if I'm alive? You need me to die to believe me. As soon as I'm dead, you're going to believe me, right? Okay, so say, Arichas Yamim. Somehow anything printed by a dead man, you trust blindly. Okay, so I'm still alive. Okay, pray for Arichas Yamim. I need it. Okay, I want to teach you more. I want to train some more minds to think like normal human beings. Okay, so this is the Pshat and Taisa. So now at least understand what's Rashbam, what is Taisa's understanding of Rashbam. Now the other thing which has to be explained is what is Rashbam Taisa takes for granted that the star is garnished. The star is just a fish hook. And LMI, what about the chayv itself? The chayv is not shaykh the chalukah. I'd like to hear, literally to educate you, what do we mean really when we say the word chayv? I started with this in the very beginning, but now I'm going to do it piecemeal because I really have to define this once and for all, specifically because a good friend of mine over here, my Sarah Mashkim, asked me, please tell me exactly what Shibud Aguf is. There, I'm going to explain and just show you different Rishonim and try to understand what this really is. So we already bought the Gemara in Ksubas, Daf Pehei, Pevav, Amr of Kanler of Papa, Priyas Balchayv Mitzvah. We bought over there, if you recall, that the Shita Kubetza says the name of the Ra. By the way, added note, also the Ramban, very important. The Rebbe of the Ra says the same thing, that if Shibuda Deiraisa, then obviously not paying Balchayv would be Gezel. We parallel that to a Chinuch and Tafai and Zion. We parallel that to a Rashi and Lamed Vav, Amid Beis and Gittin, if you recall. So we know one thing. We know that Shibudim are not just ways of collecting from other people. When you collect from the Baal Chayv himself, when the Malva collects from the Leiva himself, he's also collecting Midin Shibud. Now the question is that Shibud Nechasim or Shibud Aguf? Why do I say that? Because Rabbanan, because of Xeris HaLakuchais, we're not going from Lakuchais with Shibud Nechasim from Metaltal. Yeah, but what about as far as Minei Day from himself? Maybe it's still called Shibud Nechasim even from Metaltul. Anybody learn Bab Metzia in this house? Please raise your hand. Whoever learned Bab Metzia? The first page. No. The first 2 pages. Anybody learned the first 2 pages of Bab Metzia in this building? No one learned? Okay. If you ever learned, then I can't tell you a thesis which I use with this, but let go. You didn't learn. What can I do? Okay, Ufcheng. So this seems to be the shita over there. We'd like to understand what is shibud. We use a concept shibud aguf. Now, shibud aguf is not really found before in the Gemara. We know shibud, and we're talking about lekuchas. Never the word shibud haguf. That language per se is not somehow found. What does this mean? So if you would just when we say that shibud is the rice, it's a shibud on my nechasim. I have a mortgage ownership on your assets, midiraisa, on both mobile assets and real estate, and midirabana, because the takanas lekucha is specifically only on real estate. Okay, very nice. The Gemara says, open up Gemara Ksubas. You have a Gemara Ksubas. We once learned that the Gemara says in Ksubas at the beginning of Afalpi. The Gemara, the Taisus asked a question. Dafnun Dalid Amid Beis. Very famous Taisus Divrei Hamascha Afalpi. The first Taisus of the 5th parak of Ksubas. And Taisus asked a question. You know, people get engaged or married, and they make yischayvus. They obligate themselves to a lot of money. I mean, especially you ever go to some of these chasanas with the ksubas are like like a few $1 million. Somehow you have that, and everyone claps their hands and they go woo, whatever it be. And very, very certain communities love putting in like a big. Tess as the kasha, like how's he do? He doesn't have a paint to his name. That's a lot of money. Okay, the minute today in certain communities, that's what they did. They committed 100 litrin, 100 livres. Okay, 100 livres. Are you kidding? That was a lot of money during Rabbeinu Tam's life. Okay, like a family could probably live on 20 livres a month. Okay, so 100 livres, that's a lot. Very typical. How can you make a shibud on the chasim that you don't have? The bishlam kishi yeshlo hu mishabed nechasav lezachayiv. No problem. You can give a shibud on an asset, but you have. Interesting. Then, even if these nechasim were lost, the other the mishtabed. Basically, since we paskin the ikni kana umishtabed a gemara in Bava Basra, that Kufnan Zion, also in Bava Metzia, and where is it of the Tesayin? So the same thing here. Yes, you can be mishabed and a davar shlei b'layla. Kidamin b'mishemes. Oh, he brings Kufnan Zion. But what do you do? He's a schlepper. He barely has pants. Hey, how is he going to be shopping the chasim? He doesn't have. Not garnished. What does he say? He says if there's a shibud, the shibud is chal, then you can be mishabed also things which are not there. But if you have nothing for it to be chal on, it has to have something to be chal on. Then it can be if you have something to be chal, shibud. You can say, well, this goes even further. But if you don't have what to be mechel shibud, we don't say that you can be mishabed davar shlei b'layla. If you're mishabed, then you can say the kani or the ikni, but if there's nothing to be mishabed in the beginning, there's nothing to talk about. This is today's discussion. V'shal reader Rabbeinu Eliyahu and Rabbeinu Yitzchak Azakein asked Rabbeinu Eliyahu, "Ve'eshav le'dematzinu ki in zeh beperek hasoicher es hapayalim." We learned that in B'Metzia Tzai Dalet. Masna shemer chinam, a shemer chinam can stipulate with the person which is about to give him the pikadon that he should watch. Lias kishoyel. He wants the rights of a shoyel that he'll be putted from from everything except for Mesa Machal Mulacha. On the other hand, they'll have other cheschaibus and etc. Upar b'mai b'dvarim. What are you going to make a cheschaibus with? With words, you're going to promise you're going to do X, you're going to promise to do Y. Yeah, you made a kinyan. B'chol iyin afal pi she'ein makna le'shum nechasim el shemishabed gufay lezeh achayv. It works. He's the one that tells us there's a concept called shibud aguf. Here's the guy. Reed did not know this. Ben Elio is the man that tells you there's a concept called shibud aguf. Mi'ata ukshiyul nechasim chal shibudai. Well, since there is already a shibud on him, therefore it's on him. Therefore, it's also a shibud on the nechasim which will come. They states it. Ve'ein zeki in dvarim ba'alma. The key in dvarim le'evel elokei deresh bar basra shekonim b'yadu lachlik chotzer abu ma shemishabed gufay li'ischayiv l'davar zeh mishtabed ve'ein zeki in dvarim ba'alma. So we know one thing. We know the concept of shibud aguf li'ischayiv l'davar zeh. He's the man which introduces us bichlal to this idea of shibud haguf. Shibud haguf li'ischayiv l'davar zeh. That's a very not clear word. What does it mean? Shibud aguf li'ischayiv. What do those words mean? It's ambiguous. Well, there's another taisvis. A taisvis daf samach gimel amid aleph in Ksubis, which elaborates in Das Rabbeinu Eliyahu. And Taisus writes in Daf Samach Gimel Amid Aleph in Afalpi again, the fifth parak. But you guys usually do B'Bkiyas, so that's why you only do Gemara Rashi. But if you would learn Rush, you would have had the same Rabbeinu Eliyahu in your hands too, even if you wouldn't know the Taisus. So the Taisus writes, "Ba'aymer eni zan ve'eni mefarnes mikan meichiach Rabbeinu Eliyahu shechayev adam lahasker atzmai lelamed tinaykos." You understand what the typical parnasa was there. It was chinuch, tinaikis, being a second class, or maybe tinaikis means boys which are 16 or 18. Unless he means tinaikis means 3-year-old, not sure. Chinuch, chayiv, you have to never go do a job. So what's the job? He doesn't say chayiv adam to become a peddler. Chayiv adam lahaskir is atzmai, l'lamed tinaikis, oy lasses melacha acheres. You can clearly see socially that was the preferred option, and then there was number 2. Kedei lazon zishtai. The imlay kain mayin zetz and murder malacha. That's what he says. Miu gamzeish litchais. Moshe Farsha benotam da aflach haina avoidus akaka pirish echresh ve'ekresh ve'eder is a soda. Vavim mezainis. Aval hasker atzmai ein nechayev. This is a machlekes Rabbeinu Eliyahu Rabbeinu Tam. Are you chayev to rent yourself out to work, to create a salary in order to pay a debt? According to Rabbeinu Eliyahu, yes. According to Rabbeinu Tam, no. So now we really have a machlekes. What is the scope, or rather, what is the identity of this, what we call shibud aguf? Rabbeinu Eliyahu seems to be saying the shibud is literally on you to do what it takes to bring money. To do what it takes to bring money, ad kedekach, you even have to rent yourself out. It's a shibud lepaula. I couldn't care less how you do. You must do whatever it takes to facilitate this payment. That's shibud aguf. According to Rabbeinu Tam, what is it? What is Rabbeinu Tam? What is it? He says one thing. He says you don't need that. You don't need that. Well, maybe according to Rabbeinu Tam, there's no such concept of shibud aguf. It's Rabbeinu Eliyahu which told us there's a concept of shibud aguf. It's so funny that most people take this concept as it's written in the Chumash. And the funny thing is, it all starts with the Taisus and Ksubas. You know what I mean? That's once again, medaf learn a kitzer. So this is what happens here. So what's Rabbeinu Tam hold? Teretz is we know that Rabbeinu Tam holds the shibud aguf. Where's this Rabbeinu Tam? This is Rabbeinu Tam button the Ran in Gittin Daf Yud Gimel. Okay. Ran and Gittin Daf Yud Gimel, the famous Rabbeinu Tam. What does Ran say in Gittin Daf Yud Gimel? There he writes, here, let me show it to you. The Gemara says, Amar Shmuel, HaMoicher shtarchayv lechaveirei, v'chazoi umachlai, machul. I sold a contract, which I had, let's say I had a contract, I had a promissory note on good old David Maybrook. He owed me $100,000, okay? I decided to sell it to you, Gidon. You're simply the box next to him, okay? After I sell it to you, and you paid me, 70%, because God, there's definitely a risk factor whether he'll pay, right? So, so 70%, 700,000, but geez, I put it in my pocket and I whistle, and then I decide I like him. After I sold to you, I was Michael him the chayv. Do I have to pay? Question one, does it work? Question one, does it work? Second question two, do I have to pay? Well, question one, the answer is, Shmuel says, Mechila works. Now the question is, why is that true? So there's major machlekes harishonim. There are those which will tell you, there's a very big tzais on this. I think he brings 6 shitas. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen it for a while. One should look this up. But basically, there's quite a few shitas. One shita is because mechirish Taurus is only d'Rabbanan, not d'Oraisa. It's not an entity of its own. It's basically nothing more that represents future monies. The mechira of the shtar is not sold. Is that period? Simple as that. Well, that's what many Rishonim learn that way. Mechirish Taurus is d'Rabbanan, and therefore d'Oraisa, the mechira is not a mechira. So that's why they weren't masalik the koyach of mechila. For whatever reason, it's a big sugya, not here. I would love to, but you guys, we never get to there in this form. For that, whatever it be. Okay. Mechirish says the Gainim write down because since basically that's what the Ravon's approach is. The Meiser of Semach Gaon, the Rif brings the shita down. It says, listen. You always depend on the seller, the malva, because he can always say, I checked my books. He paid me. So you can never collect, because I can always say, I checked my books. He paid me. What's the problem? The din is that midrabanan, even with the milva b'shtar, you have to swear loy paraticha. The Mishnah in Shavuos, okay? Well, ishtabali the loy paraticha. And the funny thing is, well, the lekeach cannot say that. He wouldn't know. So who has to swear? The meicher. The meicher has a possibility of saying, I can't swear. Maybe Taki, he paid me. As soon as you can't swear, you can't collect. So the Ravban explains this as saying, well, since basically the realization of the sale is really still up to the meicher, that's not fully sold. And since it's not fully sold, therefore he still controls it and he can be meichel. That's the shita of Rabbeinu Tzemach Cohen, and that's the Ravban understands it. And then there's the very famous Rabbeinu Tam. And it's in Daf Tez Zayin Ois V'Hoder in Ran Gittin to Daf Yud Gimel. The Ikeman de Amar, this is Rabbeinu Tam. Here in Taisid Ramasut Pneo Leplini, this is a sugya of Maimet Shloshtan. Anybody learned the sugya? The Afagab de Kaimelan Kishmo de Amar Amoichish Tarchev V'Chavei V'Chazu Machu Machu B'Maimet Shloshtan Eine Yachal Limcho. Mishum de Taime de Shmuel, O Mishum de Mechir Shtoz Drabban Kedasarev, Shekasav Ken Biksuvis and Akaisef, Uva Bavasa Mishames, O Lesvi Svars Rabbeinu Tam. Oh, here he quotes, it's also brought down in Rashba and Bavasa Kupmem Zainam and Base. Mishum de Yishnei Shibudim Yeshtoi Lamalva Al Haloiva. Shibud Aguf, he agrees with the concept of Shibud Aguf. And what else? Shibud Aguf and Shibud Nechasim. The Shibud Nechasim ain't an elamidin orev. This is a Gemara Lemaisim B'chayris and in Bava Basra, where the Gemara says Nichsid Bar Inosh, the assets of a person, Inon Arevim Bay, they are the guarantors for him fulfilling his thing. That's why the halacha is that we don't go collecting from the karkois or from the lekuches if there's still a possibility of collecting from the original leiva. Why? Because all these things are like a guarantor, an orev. You don't go to the orev if you can still collect from the principal Baal Chai. Ein niskakim l'orev tchil. That's the lashon l'gemara of Rav and B'chayros. Okay, so therefore we understand it's only an orev. V'shibud aguf en elamidin orev. Umalva leimotzi mizbin ela shibud nechasim. A malva can only sell shibud nechasim. V'pnei sheyachol l'tofsam b'chayvayt. Since he is capable of collecting those nechasim, listen carefully, the language is very important. Since you can collect those nechasim because of your shibud, you can collect them for payment. Therefore, you can also sell it. Equals, since you have a rights of ownership for gvia, that is in an object, that is something which you can transfer ownership with. Avo shibud aguf loy matzi mizbin. That's not sellable. What does that mean? Oilam gavi malva ukishu michael, etc. He says something beautiful. He says, I can mechirish stores works. I can sell you the shibud nechasim. I can't sell you the shibud aguf. Well, then the Meichel can be Meichel the Shibud Aguf, and then the Nechasim aren't the Shibud anymore because they're only a Shibud for the fulfillment of the Shibud Aguf. And since the Shibud Aguf you can't sell, that's yours. You can be Meichel. But maybe what you sold the other guy became obsolete. The Mechira was a good Mechira, and there's no Shiur in the Mechira. But I just sold you something and I made it obsolete. I was mazik your thing. That's Rabbeinu Tam's Shita. So we clearly, he doesn't mention what Shibud Aguf is, and he doesn't mention, he only says it can't be transferred. He doesn't say what it is, and that's the honest truth. So what do we know? Something which can't be transferred equals it's not dealing with monetary rights in anything. Now, there's two possibilities on the table. It could be that he agrees with the principle of Rabbeinu Eliyahu, lishtabud by lischayev. That is the nature of chayv. That means you have a shibud, you have taken upon yourself that you are obliged to facilitate payment. Could be. The only machlekes between Rabbeinu Tam and Rabbeinu Eliyahu is only one thing. To what extent does that include forcing you to sell yourself or to rent yourself out in order to work? The Maisha, there's a famous Shuvas Arush. Okay, I have to look it up. Which is asked this question: what is shibud aguf? And the Rush, maybe I have it written down somewhere. Just one minute. Let me see if I have it in any piece of paper here. Just a minute. Let me see for a moment. No. What about here? No, here, if I did it right, that's pretty interesting. No, I'm surprised. I don't see that I wrote on here the shoes. I know it's a Shuvas Arush. And the Rav says the cloud is you can't sell him. It's not since although one would think Eved Loiva Lishmalva, but the pasuk says Avodah Haim V'Lo Avodim LaAvodim. That's what he quotes. The Tur brings this. I think it's in Siman Ayin Tes. Actually, now I remember there's a Shara Mishpat on this. Okay, there's a Shara Mishpat on this, and this I think where do I have it? Where's that Tur? I have a Siman of the Rush. The Rush is Kal Ayin Ches. Simon Beis. Oh, thank God. Okay. Shar Mishpat is in Tzadik Zayin Aleph. Shar Mishpat Tzadik Zayin. The Rush is Klal Ayin Ches. Good. You look it up. So he says that Eino Chanami, L'chayr Shibud Aguf is an idea that it's chayiv on him, on the kakaf to the gaver to pay, which is L'chayr, the lashon of Rabbeinu Eliyahu, Ishtabed L'Ischayev by. Okay. And he says, obviously, this is something that you can't sell because the only time you can sell a person is within Eved Ivri. Because you can't force a guy into selling. Now the question is, what about schirus of the guf? So this is a machlekes. To what extent we definitely can't sell him? Okay, only through bezin. Then the halacha is you can only sell if mamshi doesn't have what to eat. Just you don't sell a person for a debt. That's lashon Rambam in the beginning of Hilchos Avadim. We don't allow a sale of a person for avdus. Meicher atm is only when mamshi doesn't have what to eat. But if hypothetically he has what to eat, but he never has a lot of debt, there's no such thing as selling a person for a debt. There's no moicha atzman b'kai gavna. Read Rambam, Perik Aleph Avodim. Okay, so there's no shibud for selling the person, or according to Rabbi Tam, even for renting him out. Mashenkin, here you are mechuyev. That's the question. What is the extent of your responsibilities? That's fair. That in principle, that's all it is. But there's another approach to shibud on the guf, and that is found in Shuvas Rashba in Chelik Aleph. Siman 1000 Elef Siman Samachtes. You have to read it. And there he writes, you know what Shibud Aguf is? It's the same thing as Shibud Nechasim without the problem of the Ikni. That's all it is. If the Shibud Nechasim on you, but the shibud on you for your assets, but there I don't have a problem. I don't care if the assets are around or not around. What does that mean? How can I have a shibud on an asset which doesn't exist because I have a shibud on you for your assets and you exist? Which is the chayra, that's what this Rashba is saying. This Rashba is saying the shibud aguf is not the chiyuv. It means say there's a mortgage right on your rights of ownership. For you have rights of ownership. I now own your rights of ownership to the tune of a certain sum like via. I have a shibud ownership on your rights of ownership. Therefore, whatever you will finally express those rights in equals in buying things, you will own it. I have rights in your rights of ownership. That's the chayv. One should look up the Chuvas Rashba. Imam she equates it to shibud nechasim. The only thing is, there's no problem of the ikna. So what is it? It's a schus mammon and it's kayach habailus. So we really have two major approaches here. Now we have to look carefully what shittas Rashbam, etc. But before we go further, this is the basic two approaches in front of us. I suggest you read the material I just mentioned. Das Rabbeinu Eliyahu, Rabbeinu Tam, which is Chayr Mashma said shibud li'ischayiv equals a chiva karkafta the gavra. I repeat, I said it's not just a pa'ula. It means to make sure the payment is done. Because remember, we pointed out the Gemara in Ksubas Kupei Vav that we are kaifa him to fulfill his mitzvah by doing what? By taking his nechasim. His mitzvah is to make sure it's paid, not to do a pool of piron, because taking his nechasim doesn't make him fulfill a pool of piron. Rashi Taka writes, "Priyas b'chayv mitzvah hen shechot tzedek." It means the same thing. Even if you hold shibud lav d'oraisa, and there is no such thing as shibud, you're still forced to do that because of your word, hen shechot tzedek. So that's the only question. If you hold shibud d'oraisa, so it's very simple. Shibud does not just mean shibud nechasim. It definitely will also mean shibud haguf according to the Rashba. This is shibud nechasim. It's an extension of the classical din of mashkin. Just like there's a schus mammon in the mashkin for gvir, there's a schus mammon in my schus mammon of bailus for gvir. That's easy. According to Rabbeinu Eliyahu and Rabbeinu Tam, what is this shibud haguf? Is that also a machlekes with the shibud deraisa or lav deraisa? L'chayra not. L'chayra not. We haven't found that anywhere. That's the oifi of chayv. Chayv means you have a responsibility. What does chayv mean? You are responsible. You are obliged. Obliged to do what? Obliged to facilitate a payment. That's what shibud haguf is. In definition, that is what the chayv is. The chayv is your lashon Rabbeinu Eliyahu is shibud li'is chayv. Chayv means an obligation to facilitate the return of the monies. That's all it is. Obviously, that's not an object. That is a responsibility. It's a relationship between two people, which now you must do something for me. That is nothing which is a commodity which can be sold, and therefore, obviously, that's a bi'isa b'kutra. That can't be sold. Mashenkin, if you understand, according to the Rashba, that is rights in my monetary ownership of whatever I will buy. Now, here there's an interesting question. Can you sell that? On one hand, you would say if it's rights in a person, then it can't be sold, because the only way you can sell monetary rights is through Eved Ivri. We can't sell you a Shebet HaGuf as an Eved Ivri, so how can you sell those rights? That's definitely a possibility. The flip side is now, but there's another possibility, which is Shittas Ravan. Ravan says you can't sell it. Because at the end of the day, the realization of that is ownership in assets. Anything machlekes or rishonim, can you or can you not sell shibud haguf? Whatever it be, it comes out like this. Rabbeinu Tam and Rabbeinu Eliyahu seem to both learn it's nothing more than shibud li'ischayev, kakafta de gavra. According to Shuvas Rashba, okay, it's got definitely according to Ravan, it has to be a schus mammon in your schusay mammon. Therefore, it's like shibud nechasim without a problem of the ikni, and therefore the chayra, there's possibility to say you can sell it, possibility not. Your question has to be as far as chalukah is concerned. You can be yovish it. Is there chalukah in these things? And that will depend in the nature of chalukah. I have to take you back to good old Marachor Zerua and his father. and tell me what the nature of chalukah is, and tell me if chalukah is pertinent possible by a shibud aguf. That's for you guys to think about. This, you see, you have to have everything in your head together. Okay? Ask yourself a question. What is the nature of chalukah? Is chalukah possible in a shibud aguf? Before you do that, I want you to know that you also have to read the Gemara in Baba Kamal HaMevav, as I mentioned a few times, Taisvis, Mechamis, etc. The Rif, Mechamis, and the Razah. But that, and also, and obviously the Gemara in Bavasa Kuf Memches by Shchiv Mara. I sent you all those things in the Ma'amekaimis. We'll do that on Sunday. But this is where I'm leading to. Taisus takes for a given that there's no chalukah in shibud in the chayv. What is the chayv? What about the shibudim? Make a chalukah in the shibudim. Obviously, you can't be mechalik the shibud nechasim for whatever reason. No one's talking about that. And no one's being mechalik the shibud aguf. Why? That's the question. Define it, explain why it doesn't work. Taking into account, ask yourself the nature of chalukah. Is chalukah a transferring of ownership? Or is chalukah nothing more than verifying what ownership that I already have anyway? Now we know there's Yerusha on Shibud Aguf. Because there wouldn't be, they wouldn't owe the guy anything. Because that's a davar pasha. Okay? There's Yerusha. Is there chalukah? Who owns it when you're Yerush? It depends on the nature of the tfusa. If the tfusa is partnership, and all you need is to check out which part is my partnership, you're not changing ownership. You're just verifying which one is yours. Shouldn't be a problem. If chalukah is basically daddy's, and now you're going to break that and make it into personal ownership, you're changing status of ownership. Can you change or transfer status of ownership to a shibud aguf? This becomes intriguing. And that depends on the Orzarua and the Marach Orzarua, B'das Roshbam, if you recall. See you guys. Have a great Shabbos. Make the most of it. Important Parsha. Ooh, a lot of Ramban. You really have to learn a lot of Ramban. This is a Parsha full of Moedas, etc. There's Ramban here, Maim She'en Lem Sof Ramban this week. A lot of halacha. So learn a lot of Ramban. We keep you busy. Long Friday nights. Like, what do you do? Or Shabbos afternoon and Pirkei Avos, don't forget. But the Ramban, you learn a lot of Ramban. You keep you busy. Have a great Shabbos. Love you all. Bye. Take care. I'm leaving.
Shabbos.
Bye. Take care.
Shabbos.
Great Shabbos.